Have you ever wondered why things happen? Of course you have. We all do. Many things happen in life and we don't understand why they happen in life. But when they do happen, we have to take stock and understand what's the purpose of it. Tonight is Jerusalem Unification Day, when both Jerusalems were given back to the Jewish people after nearly 2,000 years, when the old city and the new city were united, and the Jewish soul had gone to a new level of recognizing Hashem. My father happened to conquer the new city back in 1948, and I remember very well the war in 1967. My father went off to battle, and all of us were frightened. Will people come back from battle or not? And then as the days passed by and the hours passed by, we saw within incredible miracles happening before our eyes, within seconds of us in real time. So tonight I want to tell you a story, a very interesting story I lived. In fact, myself, my father, and another rabbi in Queens, Rabbi Shraga Zalmanov. We all lived through it. The story takes place on June 12th, 1994. It was a Sunday. It happened also to be Gimel Tammuz, exactly the day when Lubavitcher passed away. You see, for 2.5 months, my father and I, and Rabbi Zalman Salmanov, were preparing a special telethon, the first Kirov telethon in history, the first outreach telethon in history, whereby we would go and use television to bring Jews back to Yiddishkeit. It was called Back to Our Roots 1994. And what's so special about that telethon, about that particular moment in history, was the Lubavitcher Rebbe was very, very ill. And all the world was praying for the Lubavitcher Rebbe to come out of his terrible coma that he was in. And we were all davening 3 times a day, even more. And the whole world was worried about this wonderful tzaddik leaving the world. Many of us could not believe such a thing would happen. Many people even thought the Rebbe was the Mashiach. Anyhow, at that moment, as the months were passing by, the days were passing by, my father, Mordechai Schwartz, Commander Mordechai Schwartz in the Pamach Brigade, and myself, and Rabbi Shlomo Zalmanov, came to an concept, an idea, an understanding. Let's make a Kirov telethon. Let's make a telethon whereby people will come back to Hashem. So I was able to unite rabbis, both non-Hasidic and Hasidic rabbis, and they came together, which itself is a miracle. And we all came with the idea of making the first Kirov telethon. We worked day and night, night and day. We wrote scripts, and we got actors, and we got producers, and we got talent. Even Jackie Mason was part of the show. We recorded 5 hours on tape, and then another 2 hours was live. And we were about to go on air on June 12th, 1994. And that was going to be a 7-hour show, whereby, as I mentioned before, 5 hours tape, 2 hours live. So, Saturday night, Moshe Shabbos, Rabbi Zalmanov and I, we decided to go to Beth Israel Hospital. I say to the Rabbi Zalmanov, let's go to the Rebbe, because let's get a bracha before the shows will happen tomorrow morning. He agreed. So we drive from Queens to Manhattan. And as we come to Manhattan, it's about 12:50 a.m., Moshe Shabbos, I see 2 people with cameras, one with a camera and one next to the camera, and I know it wasn't good. So I speak to the 2 fellows and I say, what's going on here? And they said the Rebbe has expired. The Rebbe passed away. Within moments, as the news gets through and around the neighborhood and around the hospital, Beth Israel Hospital, I still can't forget, and I never will forget, the terrible screams of lamentations, of mourning, of crying, and people saying it can't be. A Rebbe Malateva, the Rebbe is above nature. It can't be. The Rebbe Mashiach, it can't be. And as the hours pass by, all of us becoming very, very sad and in shock, and we were being very, very brokenhearted. The question, should we go on with the show or not? So, here I had to ask a question from Rabbi Menachem Kaufman of Briarwood, Queens, a musmach, a rabbinical student of the late Rebbe Moshe Feinstein. And I asked him, Rabbi Kaufman, can we go on the show or not after this terrible tragedy is happening? So he looked within halacha and he said, this would be a hepzid ruba, be a situation whereby be a lot of financial loss would be, because people already bought the airtime, and the communications network wouldn't let us get out of it, and because, of course, rightly so, they had already sold the 7 hours to us, and be lost a great deal of money, and of course also be postponing the Kiev telethon. So Rabbi Kaufman said, yes, no problem. You can go and make this special telethon. In fact, go with my blessing. So we did. And during those 7 hours of telethon, it was a very, very interesting moment, you could say. Because what was happening is, as the 7 hours passing by, and the phones are being manned by 20 people answering telephones because it was a telethon, and my father was in charge of the 20 people by the phones in Queens, and Rabbi Zalmanoff and I were in Manhattan in front of the television camera hosting and doing the show and speaking during the live breaks as the tape was ending in one segment and starting another segment. There were segments within the show whereby we had the Lubavitcher Rebbe in the program. That was the way we edited it weeks before. So when the Lubavitcher Rebbe is coming in front of the television, the same day the Lubavitcher Rebbe also passed away. And people are calling in and saying, where is the telethon? Where is the Levaya? We won't be part of the Levaya. And of course, our phone answerers or the callers were given the answers, what the Levaya would be. So after the 7 hours ended and the telethon was over, all of us, of course, were in shock. We came back, and for days on end, I was wondering, why did this happen? And then I realized. You see, Hashem set everything up whereby Hashem didn't want to leave the followers of the Lubavitcher Rebbe in total loss. So by having a telethon, a Kiruv telethon, an outreach telethon, something that Rebbe was so much in love with, about outreach, happening the same day when he passed away, and happening whereby people would still see his face and still getting chizuk, as though he was still alive, it lessened the blow of all the people who were now in deep, deep mourning. So you see how Hashem was able to give comfort to people in their greatest time of need, because when the Rebbe passed away, it was a horrible day. So how does this do with the corona? You see, terrible things have happened during the corona. Many people lost their lives, and many families are going through horrible pain and suffering and hardship because of the loss in their families, and also those who are suffering from financial loss. Yet we have to see something very importantly. The corona didn't come from nowhere. Hashem made the corona, for whatever reason. But let's look at it in a way that will enforce us in terms of our belief, in terms of knowing who we are and what we are, and how Hashem really does care about us. Because Hashem pinpoints everything. The fact that day, on June 12th, 1994, Gimel Tammuz, Hashem had already planned a Kiruv telethon to happen the same day the Lubavitcher Rebbe was going to leave the world. Only shows how much Hashem wanted two things: to comfort the mourners, and the same token to realize and show the people, guess what? The Rebbe's message of outreach is still going on and will go on. How does this fit with the corona? People may think and say, well, the corona's over with, and their loved ones are not here anymore, or they're in a terrible financial situation. But look very carefully, and you will see Hashem in your particular life, how Hashem is guiding your life, and how Hashem is taking that soul that is so dear to you and bringing it to new levels in Shemayim, and how that soul will be in your life, being with you, comforting you. In the same token, see around you that really nothing is for granted, nothing, as we say in Hebrew, is hefker, without haphazard, without concern, without a supervisor. Hashem is supervising everything. In the same way Hashem that day provided comfort, even though the terrible tragedy occurred, Hashem also is providing comfort and will provide comfort for you as well. Don't lose yourself. Don't get depressed. You be strong. Go on. And you'll see, may not now, maybe in a few weeks from now, but you'll see in the end, the whole puzzle will come to be clear All the pictures, all the parts of the puzzle will fit. You will see in yourselves and your families that things will get better. And as the Chafetz Chaim said, things are always good. It's just the way we perceive things. So, have a new perspective in life. Know and be sure that Hashem is with you, and that you will go from new levels of greatness in Kedusha, in Ruchnius, in holiness, in spirituality, in godliness, and also in your own self-esteem and self-worth. Be strong, and be strong. Shabbat Shalom to all, on Yom Shalayim, the day when both Jerusalems were unified and the Jewish people became one with Jerusalem again. Shabbat Shalom.